Well, from the Latin American perspective, it's an agreement that comes to especially give more power and, let's say, presence inside the market of Mercosur countries. So what we are seeing is that it's an agreement that will actually give more benefits to service companies in Europe, plus the companies that can actually take care of public procurement issues in Brazil especially. So what we see is that first of all, it's an agreement that is going to give this power to European corporations, while on the other hand, it's going to give more power on the Mercosur side to agribusiness companies. So it's completely not a symmetric agreement. We're talking about an agreement that will have a lot of impacts in employment. That is also because the agreement is going to put the tariffs down to zero related to car parts and car production in general. So this is going to have an impact on employment. For example, in Argentina, some researchers have shown that it will have an impact on 180,000 jobs that go directly in the car industry, plus all the small and medium enterprises that are related to the value chain of car parts. So it's going to have an impact. So first of all, on giving this power to the European corporations, then it's going to have an impact on employment, and also it's going to have an impact on the fields, because as I was saying, it's going to give more capacities to the agribusiness companies that actually are using a lot of pesticides and all the agrochemicals in the fields. Many of these are prohibited in Europe, so this shows also a very tense relationship between what is said in Europe and what the companies do, like BASF, many German companies and French companies related to agribusiness and chemical companies, that they produce these compounds and these chemicals in the Mercosur countries and use it there, even though in Europe they are prohibited. So we're talking about an agreement that is going to give more power to the powerfuls in both continents, and is going to have an effect in Mercosur on the environment, on indigenous rights, but also on jobs. First of all, what we have to understand is that Lula being in power in Brazil is very important regarding probably human rights, regarding access of people, especially the poorest or the most humble people in Brazil, to having access to the main services and their main rights, like having access to food every day, which is really important for those people. This is something undeniable. But then on the other hand, we have to understand that the Mercosur-EU agreement was negotiated also during the Lula's government in the past, in the first years of 2000. Dilma Rousseff government also. So we have the Partido de los Trabajadores, of the Working Party, they are being active, especially in the last part of the negotiations, before Bolsonaro, of course. And also in those years, we see an increase of the agribusiness power, especially all these big corporations regarding the producing, because actually it's a production, like an industrial production of beef, of meat of cows, of porks, and also of, of birds. It's like chicken, sorry. And so what we see there is that these companies have been increasing power in the past years. And this is the way that Brazil has actually entered the global market, with this capacity of having these big corporations being able to produce this kind of meat and to sell it, to export it to China, for example, to European Union, of course, also. So what we see on the one hand is a policy of the new government in Brazil that is going to tend to protect the Amazon and to protect environment. But then on the other hand, we have a government that is going to have a lot of problems trying to actually reduce or stop or try to control the power of these corporations that have been increasing in the past 20, 30 years, we can say. And so there is going to be a big tension, and this is something that we're going to see. While Lula da Silva has been in Europe these past weeks, especially saying that he's going to help control the advance on the Amazon, then on the other hand, we are seeing a lot of pressure inside Brazil on his government. For example, even on the government, on the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples, that we saw that only 1 month ago the right-wing party was saying that they were going to destroy that ministry. So they were going to actually ask for the government to make that ministry disappear. So we see these forces that are coming on the one hand to try to reassess the agreement of EU-Mercosur, and then on the other hand we have these forces trying to push forward the agreement, and those forces are the ones that are actually not going to be happy with the new policies of Lula da Silva trying to protect the Amazon. So this is a struggle we're going to be seeing in the next 3 years of Brazil's government.